We're Sarah and Kate, and this was our 5th and 6th day on board IONA and our 2nd port day. This time we stopped at Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and we'll say straight away this was our favourite port by far. The ship docks in the city, which is full of great places to shop and food to try, and it looks amazing lit up at night. We started the morning with a room service continental breakfast, which we ordered the night before. There is a tray charge of £2.50 to get it delivered, but you can order as much as you like. There is a card in your room which you can tick and write in which items, how much you want, and what time you want it delivered in the morning. Make sure to hang it on the door handle before 11 PM, and when checking the clock next morning, we found it was delivered exactly on time. There's everything from glasses of juice, tea, coffee, pastries, cereal, yogurts, fruits. Though there are no hot options, it is ideal if you're heading out on excursions and you want to pack a little extra something to take without having to go to the buffet yourself. We had an excursion to Amsterdam, which we booked at guest services on our first day. However, using public transport and organising the tickets yourself is much cheaper if you want to save money. When we left the ship, we were directed to a coach with a great tour guide. The coach stopped at some windmills on the way, and then we had a 1-hour boat ride through the canals, which was a real highlight of the trip. Here we stopped in the heart of Amsterdam and were shown where to meet before we had 2 hours of free time to explore. We picked up some amazing stroopwafels and gifts for the family back home, carrying everything back to the meeting point to get back on the bus and back on the ship. Then it was time for a late lunch or an early dinner back on the ship at the Quays for fish and chips and burgers. In the Headliners Theatre, we'd recommend that if you can't get tickets to something, turning up at later showings and asking about spare seats might help. Sometimes guests will book but not turn up, whether that's because they're tired, they're busy with something else, or they've forgotten they've had a reservation. If you're one of those people, there's no shame in cancelling a booking if you can't make it, but please do so someone else can take the spot. After the show, it had been a long day and we were shattered, so we went back to our cabin, and that was the end of day 5. As we stayed overnight in Rotterdam, which we were really happy about because it was our favourite port of the whole trip, in the morning we decided to do some more exploring and shopping. Once we got off the ship, we took a water taxi from the main terminal, which is about a 2-minute walk from the ship to the centre of the city. The cost of this does vary, but we felt it was reasonable for how quickly and how fun it was to get around this way. The water taxis do offer a tour as a group if you want to see the city that way, but we definitely recommend you hold on to small children and purchases tightly, because this is fast. After getting out of the water taxi, we walked 10 minutes into the centre and saw the famous cubed houses, which you can pay to have a look around. However, we were much more interested in the market hall, which had loads of food stalls and restaurants. We bought baklava and cannelloni to try, and then picked up some to take home with us, which were a big hit with the family. Before we headed back to the ship, we had dinner in a Greek restaurant as a little treat, and it was nice to have something different from what was on board. That evening we had dinner at the Olive Grove, which again we'd booked on boarding day. The food was just as good as before, and we'd really recommend eating here if you can get a spot. And that was the end of day 6.